Welcome back to Startup Street. Dubai-based cloud kitchen unicorn Kitopi, which is backed by SoftBank Group, is adapting to a post-COVID world using a hybrid model where dine-in concepts are combined with delivery. On the sidelines of the GITEX Global 2022, my colleague Aishwarya Anand caught up with co-founder and chief growth officer Bader Ataya and began by asking him how Kitopi's business model is different from other players in this space like India's Zomato, Rebel Foods, or even Grab Foods. Listen in.
Kitopi launched in January of 2018, and we launched primarily as a cloud kitchen operator. But we pioneered a different model for cloud kitchens called the managed cloud kitchen platform, where we would take on recipes from different restaurant brands, and we would help them scale across our platform of kitchens. And doing this, we grew massively. So we developed a massive network of kitchens across the Gulf, and we were working with over 200 brands at the time. Then coming out of the pandemic, we realized that there was a bigger demand for consumers to go out and grab a bite to eat. They wanted drive-through, takeaway, dine-in again, whereas in the pandemic, they were ordering primarily on delivery. So we chose to acquire a handful of local hero brands across all our markets and pivot from a cloud kitchen to a tech-powered multi-brand restaurant. A few differentiators today are, one, we are hybrid and omni-channel, so it's no longer delivery only. We offer delivery, takeaway, dine-in, meal plans, food halls as well. And the second one is today we own a lot of the brands we operate rather than just purely license them.
All right. So now you're currently operating in 5 markets, that is the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, and Kuwait. You have recently closed your $715 million Series C round. So I wanted to understand, you're eyeing the Southeast Asia market. So what are the expansion plans like? And what is making that market very lucrative for a business like yours?
So today we feel like we've barely scratched the surface in the markets we operate in. In fact, we launched Bahrain and Qatar only last year. So there's a ton of room for growth in the markets we operate in. A lot of our content is poised for massive growth in these regions. So I guess for the time being, we are focused on the Gulf, but everything's on the table for 2023 onwards.
I also want to understand from you that Southeast Asia already has a lot of big players when it comes to cloud kitchen. For example, Grab, Gojek, right? So can you tell us, like, which other countries you would be foraying into, and what's going to be the differentiating factor there?
We have our strategy in place. We have our tech in place, our robotics arm in place, and I think it's about looking into these markets, figuring out what local partners we could work with and partners from the aggregator side, and then there are partners from the restaurant side to make sure that when we launch there, we aren't launching with Middle Eastern only brands, right? So, Singapore will have its own consumer demands, and so will Malaysia and all the other markets in there. So once we look into markets, we typically then go and identify what the core demand is across content, and we replicate our operating model here, there. So I think Kitopi expanding to a new market is just like a brand new restaurant expanding in a new market, except we will do it with around 50 to 60 brands rather than just one.
All right, now on that note, I have to ask you this. Do you have your eyes set on the Indian market? How soon can we expect Kitopi to be in India?
So the Indian market is incredibly exciting. It's a massive market. And in fact, it's not just one market. It is a multitude of markets in one with varying, I think, consumer preferences, varying languages, varying dietary needs. And I think it's never off the table, and it is a priority market for any business really looking to scale or to operate on a global level.
So now that we are here at GITEX, I want to understand, what role does technology play in building out a large platform like yours? And what kind of technology you have deployed in your kitchen?
So today we don't operate one restaurant, right? We operate over 100 and sometimes up to 50 in the space of 1,500 square feet.
Correct.
So a massive operation, pushing out more than 4,000 orders a day from a single site. The backbone of that operation and its abilities to scale is built on our tech. One, it's called SCOS, so the Smart Kitchen Operating System. So one, it gives us full visibility on the operation, from supply chain to when the order comes in, to how long it takes to prep, and how long the order is waiting for the driver.
Yeah.
We need to ensure food reaches the customer in under 30 minutes, nothing's missing, it's highly customizable, and it's consistent as we grow it maybe one day to India.
Give us a flavor of the kind of business Kitopi is doing right now, right? In terms of how many orders you are clocking annually, and what are the top selling dishes and even cuisines on your platform?
Look, it actually varies market to market, and by markets I mean vicinity to vicinity.
Okay.
So just being UAE specific, the Dubai consumer is very different than the Abu Dhabi consumer. And then within Dubai, there are industrial zones where people want their very hearty, heavy meals versus the areas filled with large corporations where they need quick, cold, light, easy, healthy meal options. So, and I guess that can be the challenge of an individual brand scaling. So a salad brand might not work everywhere
Correct.
at the same type of volumes versus a Kitopi hybrid can adapt to the changing market needs. In terms of our sales, we are on track to 4x our orders by next year.
Any target in terms of revenue that you're setting by the end of the year or by next year?
So we have three priorities. Actually, one is a revenue, one is a profitability,
Yeah.
and then we've got a target of being the best place to work.
Correct.
Today we're over 5,000 people.
All right. Now, before we end, I want to just get a sense of the global cloud kitchen market is estimated to achieve a market size of 373.4 billion by 2030. So, take us through how has the business changed since the pandemic, and give us some interesting consumer insights.
I think today, even an individual restaurant needs a cloud kitchen, or you can call it an e-commerce strategy. Many restaurant operators are realizing that and focusing on their logistics arm, focusing on their back of house operations, focusing on innovations in packaging, innovations in cooking techniques, to make sure they are well positioned to take advantage of the growing trend in delivery. While we are going omni-channel, doesn't mean that delivery has slowed down.
Yeah.
Quite the opposite. Delivery continues to expand. And I think as a traditional restaurant, you should dedicate some time and some investment to figuring out what your e-commerce strategy, rather than your cloud kitchen, what your e-commerce strategy should be.
All right, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Startup Street. More news and updates coming up on the other side. Stay tuned.